Tuesday's Loose Women live. It's Charlene White, Kelly Brook, Janet Street-Walter and Brenda Edwards.
Nothing quite like a little bit of a boogie on a Tuesday afternoon. Yes, this is Loose Women. And we're playing that song, of course, because it is Earth Day today. If you didn't know, it started 55 years ago and it's now celebrated by around 1 billion people around the world, including us, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's all about reminding us to be a bit more mindful about taking care of the planet. And so, with that in mind, he's got literally millions of followers online. Gardener Joe Clark will be joining us, brimming with ideas to help you grow your own while putting pounds back in your pockets. Former American President Joe Biden's shared an Easter family picture. There's something a little bit strange about that picture. If you have a look at it, we'll be revealing what the strange thing is and hearing the picture-perfect posing tips that Elizabeth Hurley apparently gave to Janet. And speaking of Liz, she and Billy Ray Cyrus have been pictured kissing, sparking speculation that they are official. But with 3 marriages behind him and Liz's high-profile past relationships, we're asking, do you judge a new partner for their dating history? But in terms of the top of the show, I'm not sure there's anything else that we can talk about, really, other than Pope Francis. He's now lying in state, and the funeral details have just been released. That will be on Saturday, the service. And actually, pages and pages of today's newspapers are, of course, dedicated to the life and work of the late Pope, with thousands turning up to pay their respects all around the world. So the question that we're asking, because I know you were in the programme yesterday, Janet, I know you all had your own reflections, immediate reflections on his death. But now that you've had a little bit longer to think about it, I mean, what does his death mean to you?
To me, personally, I think it's really inspirational to see so many people affected by the death of someone who's lived their life being as humble as they possibly could in such an important role. As I said yesterday, I think that it's a very important point for 2 of the world's major religions, the Catholic Church and the Church of England, who are now having to appoint new leaders. I think for the Catholic Church, that the late Pope said that he really wanted to modernise the Church. He reached out to gay people. He made no secret of his belief that the poor should be prioritised. Yeah. So will his successor continue with the same work?
Well, that's what we wait
That's
to see,
the big question, because I think that there is a movement within the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church where the parts of the Church that are really growing are not necessarily the most liberal. And I think the parts of the Church that are attracting the most new followers tend to be the most conservative and reactionary.
Well, you see, you know, we can sort of talk about this on sort of I don't know, a bigger level, a high level, but for millions of Catholics around the world, this has been hugely impactful. And you saw that firsthand this weekend, didn't
Absolutely.
you?
My husband's Catholic, he's Italian. And, I mean, a big weekend, obviously, Easter weekend. And on Friday, he gets a message from his mother, you know, just to remind you, you know, you're not supposed to eat meat today. At which point, the guilt that came over his face, because he'd already had a fry-up, and breakfast had already been served, you know, me being non-Catholic, none the wiser. So, and I just thought, gosh, that's so interesting, isn't it? And I think that's why I've always been kind of against a lot of religions, because of the guilt that goes with divorce and, you know, all sorts of different things. And
even I didn't eat meat on Friday. I'm sorry, I banned meat in my house. Oh, yeah, we did not have a fry-up on Friday. We absolutely did not, and we had fish.
No, and this is my ignorance, because obviously I'm married to someone that's Catholic. It didn't even, I mean, to be honest, we were in a hotel and he did order for himself. It's not like I cooked out or anything. But it's
how
just...
did he feel
because
and
he's
his
not,
family feel when the news came yesterday morning?
Well, I mean, on Monday, he came into the bedroom. He said, oh, the Pope's died. And I said, that's that black pudding on Friday. No, he obviously, they're upset. He called the family. That's typical me. No, he called the family. Everyone's, obviously, his grandma, she was married she got a letter from the Pope. She celebrated, 50 years of being married. She got a letter from the Pope. It's really, really important to him and his family. They are all Catholic. They go to church all the time. And I actually felt guilty that, he's moved to the UK and in the past 10 years, I've never taken him to church. And he never puts it on me at all.
Well, he's also grown up. He can take himself to church if he really wants to go to church.
This is true. But it's never really something, that... It is important to him. I know it's important, but...
It's interesting. So I looked at the figures, and church attendance in England and Wales has gone up by 50% over the past 6 years. And they say that young people aged between 18 and 24 are the second largest demographic in attendance. However, I suspect that's in places like black majority churches, which have always grown since we've had large numbers of people coming from the Caribbean and from West Africa. We've seen them create their own churches, because the churches here didn't allow them inside. So they had to create their own ones. That's grown and grown and grown, and they have a huge young demographic. And I know that there are some of our most influential, especially black music artists, who are regular churchgoers. Stormzy talks very openly about his faith in his music. And I think it growing, a lot of it has, I think, it's black majority churches that are responsible for a lot of that. But as you say, Janet, it'll be really interesting to see who comes next. And we have to wait a few more days for that. Because, of course, the cardinals have got to talk amongst themselves before the men make the decision. Now, this Easter weekend, former American President Joe Biden shared a family photo on his Instagram account. Right, let's take a look at this, because people are saying there's something a little bit strange about Joe. It does look like he's been photoshopped in.
Because that hand around that person's neck to his left is not his hand.
Oh, yeah, there's no arm.
There's no arm.
So
where did the hand come from? Whose hand is that?
They photoshopped someone out to put him in.
Somebody's hand.
Yeah.
It's not his.
Wouldn't that be good, though, if you could just Photoshop yourself into, family photos, so you didn't actually have to be at a lot of those events?
I do have to say, legally, we don't know for sure that Joe Biden's been photoshopped into the picture, but it did get us thinking about poses.
Look at that hand. That is not a man's hand.
It did get us thinking about poses. And how do you... You are ridiculous when it comes to posing.
I didn't even realise until we were talking about this today that I'm a poser. I didn't actually realise that.
But a poser not in the way that other people...
Not in the way that people would think. I have
What you mean is, every time his camera or a phone goes up in front of your face, you pull a silly phone.
Like this. Yeah, and I don't even realise that I'm doing
burning.
What's it called? Burning.
Burning.
There you are.
There you go.
What's that, Brenda?
It's
not even your face.
It's not
unusual. Look, there you go.
I do it all the time, and Tanisha, she doesn't like it. She's like, but I don't know I'm doing it. I just go to, let's have a... Because it's a nice memory, I think, when you come back and you start laughing. You start laughing about it. I don't know. But, no, I'm not a poser. I think I don't really take pictures of myself. It's always somebody else, so I'm not,
You don't take selfies.
I don't take selfies and stuff, but if somebody's taking a picture, then it usually turns out quite nice if I don't know I'm being photographed.
You know, I hate having my photo taken. I'm really not comfortable with it. And I think it all stems from school assembly photos. And at our school, we worked out, you know that long the camera revolves to take a picture,
when it's the whole school picture.
When it's the whole school. So we worked out that if you stood right at one end, you could be in twice. You could picture, run all the way round the back, and you're in your own school photo twice. How sad is that? But no, I got a really good lesson in how to pose for a photo from Elizabeth Hurley.
Go on, show us.
Years ago, right.
I hope you are taking notes.
No, that I put it into effect very, very well. So Elizabeth told me, leg out. So a third of your body's gone straight away because you're at an angle to the photographer. Arm sideways on, also it's thinner. Chest up, chin. Camera's got to be higher than you to get rid of any double chin. And then you're supposed to say a word that makes your lips look all pouty. And I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like, womb. I was on a beach with Elizabeth Hurley. Hurley, and I had to walk away from the water side by side with Elizabeth Hurley. I'm scarred for life.
Oh, Janet.
I was sucking in.
But Kelly, as someone who's modelled a lot, were you also saying woo when you were taking pictures?
Well, since the birth of Instagram, my husband takes a lot of my pictures and they are so bad. Like, I'm sure he does it on purpose, but I never ask him. Like, you can't even work out it's me. It's always out of focus. It's far away. It's just like the worst. So I actually now don't like having my picture taken.
Really?
Because I don't look like that. Why do you just get such a bad angle? He just has no interest in it. And all the ones I take of him are just, like, gorgeous.
And I bet the ones he takes of you are gorgeous.
No.
But the way we see ourselves in pictures, we'll always be more critical of ourselves, won't we?
Yeah, I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't like looking at pictures of myself.
No.
No, not at all.
There you go. Brenda, are you going to start just smiling for me in pictures?
No, that was a good one. That was nice.
No, you don't like being, you don't like being held
don't
hostage.
take it too far, darling. You've gone right from nice to slightly terrifying.
Yeah, there we go. Right, still to come. Do you judge a new partner on their dating history? We've got the best spring gardening hacks to save you money, and it was the talking point of our new podcast episode, which is out today. So how did your relationship with your mum change when you became an adult? And is it damaging to be best friends with your kids? We've got all of that coming up.